community. And sorry, what I have found and witnessed is many amazing organizations who've got an amazing vision, an amazing passion, and an amazing service and contribution to the community. And what motivates me is when that story goes untold, when the surrounding customers, prospects, potential customers do not use the business because they are not aware of the amazing contributions that business gives.
Awesome. Thank you, Rocky. Rocky's well thought out his purpose statement. Very good one. Ron?
Well, good morning, everybody. I'm Ron Ferris from Mid Hudson Works. We're a local nonprofit that helps veterans and individuals with disabilities get job training so that they may re-enter the workforce. And the reason that I left corporate America for this opportunity here was because I was really passionate about our military and our men and women that put themselves on the line for our freedoms every day. And I actually wanted to join the military and never did. And when I had this opportunity, I figured this is a way that I could help give back and serve my country and serve those men and women that have, done the things that I never went and did for our country. And I love being able to help them have opportunities for their future.
Great. Nice one. Adrian?
Good morning, everyone. My name is Adrian Libert from Hudson InfoSec. I do cybersecurity automation for other firms. And Ronald said when he left corporate America, but corporate America left me. So I decided didn't want to go back on that train for 3 hours a day for people I didn't like. So I decided to do what gives me one of the things that gives me the most amount of pleasure, do with IT, computers, and helping others get their systems online and hoping I get my own information out there. So it's not entirely altruistic, but whatever. And funny enough, lately I've been speaking to other uh IT companies out there, small managed companies, and it's been really interesting listening to their stories as I'm getting ready to do a fireside chat thing. So yeah, so it's just growing, learning from others, getting their perspectives, and understanding why people do things the way they do. So because you have your own perspective, but it's important to listen to how other people do their thing. And I'm sorry, Michael, I went over my 45 seconds.
You're doing great, Adrian. You're doing great. And Rocio, am I saying your name right?
Rocio, yes.
Okay, good. I remember having trouble with the first time that we met. So I'm
Yep, nope,
happy that I got it right.
you got it right. So my name is Rocio Chirac, and I started my side hustle business, DBA, a year ago. And the reason I did it is because one, I needed extra money for traveling because I love traveling. And also because I love to help people. I have 30 years in human resources, and I found in one of the networking a lady that told me I can go a little above that and create my own business, which I was like, I wanted to do that. So now I'm a virtual assistant and a translator, and I'll do it for small business owners. And it is for that, because I love helping people, knowing new people, and because of the money. I love traveling. Thank you.
Great job, Rocio. Rocio, I have a book for you. I want to share it with you right now. Otherwise, it won't happen. Um, I'm going to tell you what it's called, and it's called Bel Canto by Ann Patchett. And it is not it's not a self-help book that we would normally recommend. It is more of a story, dramatic story that is. But one of the main characters in it is a translator, and he speaks something like 8 languages. And so I thought that might just be interesting to you. But it is a drama book. It is not a self-help book in any way,
Yes.
in what we typically share here.
Send me the name, like Bell, Belle.
Bel Canto,
Oh,
Canto, and it's by Ann Patchett. She's
okay.
she's an incredible storyteller. Rocky, you love telling stories. She's an incredible storyteller. She weaves in 5 years worth of like different like goes like 5 years back and 5 years forward and goes to the present. She's just an incredible storyteller. It's really great to read her books.
Thank you.
And we have LA. I'd like to give LA a chance here. I'm not sure who this is, but you're welcome to share your purpose statement with us today if you'd like. And then otherwise, I will share mine and introduce our incredible host for today. All right, LA, if you want to jump on at any point, feel free to just unmute yourself. Apologies, not in a good spot. All right, sounds good. So when you are in a good spot, just share your camera and unmute yourself, and feel free to share who you are and why you're here. We'd love to find out. Well, as you know, Michael Esposito here. I started this Take Action community to bring all of you amazing people together in order for us to be able to network and grow together. Part of this growth is also giving back. And so today, my purpose statement is all about giving back and the reason why I do that. I grew up in Queens, New York, in a mixed cultural background where my mother is from Haiti and my father is Italian descent, but from Brooklyn. And from that, my mother kept her ties to Haiti and always gave back to the people in Haiti and to her school and everything there. Eventually, in the 90s, that became more formalized with the organization Forgotten Children of Haiti, which is, for my sister and I, something that we grew up within. And so we watched our parents grow this organization in our community and give back to the children in Haiti. All of that was locked in on a trip that I took to Haiti when I was 8 years old and visited the orphanage that I had been donating my clothes and toys to. And in that moment, I witnessed these children wearing my clothes and I was accepted by them. And in that moment is when I realized, I didn't know it then, but I realized it today that I would always support those children. Whether I know who they are today or not, whether they know who I am today or not, it didn't matter. It was a commitment that was locked in when I was 8 years old. And so today I have started a fundraiser for these children and the children that are out there in Haiti today, which is called Pedal for Purpose, which is why I'm wearing this shirt today. And you can all visit joinpedalforpurpose.com. And my friend and I and several other riders are going to be riding from Somers, New York down to Battery Park and back for a 105-mile there and back in order to raise awareness for the medical and educational needs for the children in Haiti and to raise $30,000 to be able to move the mission there forward. This is part of my mission is to always give back, and it's to give back to our Take Action community. Every one of you know that because I've connected with all of you in different ways, and to give back in our global community. So that's my mission in life, and it's why I have a coaching business, and it's why I enjoy serving others. Now, without further ado, and if you would like to be able to share your mission and your purpose statement on the big stage, and the big stage is the TV stage, is the cameras, the lights, the action. And you would like to be able to do it in a way where you know what you're going to say, and so therefore you're not nervous. The people, the producers, the executive producers, the people behind the camera know who you are and know who sent you there. Well, then you would look to no other than an Emmy Award-winning media personality in that of Michelle Rupp. And today she's going to share with us some tips, some helpful ways of being able to introduce yourself to those media executives. Please welcome Michelle today.
Thank you, Michael. I need you to record that, and I'm going to play that on my website when you pop on my website. That is an amazing introduction. Thank you very much.
It is recorded and done, and it's yours.
I love it. I love it. Well, and I've enjoyed listening to each one of your stories. And Rocky, I'm particularly interested in your business, and maybe as we get closer to the top of the hour, we can talk a little more the fact that you do video production because that marries so well with television. I started behind the camera, so I think that there's we might have a lot in common there. As I was thinking about today, it was funny. I was driving down the street and I'm curious if this has ever happened to you. I'm headed down the road and all of a sudden I have a light pop on my dashboard. and it's a yellow triangle with an exclamation point. Now, not as terrifying as the check engine light, but scary nonetheless. And I thought, oh gosh, okay, well, I wonder what's happening here. And then a few minutes later, it actually flashed and said turn signal malfunction. And I thought, okay, great. So now I have a little bit more to work with here. I'm not just kind of flying blind. And I thought, well, my dad taught me basic car maintenance. I know how to jump a car. I know how to change the windshield wipers. I know how to confidently walk into an auto parts store and ask for what I need. I can figure this out. I can figure out how to replace a turn signal. I'm sure it's just a fuse, maybe just a light bulb. And I thought, well, okay. Also, this car is a little bit more sophisticated than the cars that I drove in the late 1980s, 1990s. I'll go to YouTube. I can totally do this. And so I actually went to YouTube and started trying to figure out how to fix this turn signal light. And there was a defining moment when my brain went, stop! What are you doing? You don't work on cars, Michelle. Stop. Abort mission. Okay, see, the problem here was I needed the light fixed, right? I'd never done it before. My parents had always said, you can do anything you put your mind to. This couldn't be that hard. I'm an intelligent woman. Okay, all of that is true. However, figuring out how to change the light on my car was not the best use of my time and my resources. This was bigger than popping off the light cap and pulling out a bulb and sticking a new bulb in. This was going to require an entire LED light strip that's now involved in this. So what I needed was a mechanic, and I didn't care what he charged. He was the expert. I needed the expert, and so do you. You need the expert when it comes to publicizing your business. So, how do you recognize the value of an expert? Can that expert get you from point A to point B in the shortest amount of time? So I've got a couple of examples, couple of options here that I'd like to just share with you, and then we'll open it up for questions and we can workshop a few things, Michael, if that's okay, and we can just kind of be very interactive if that's all right with everybody. Okay, so number one, experts can provide the tools, right? They can provide those tools for you to be successful in a shorter amount of time. So let's think about DIY. There are times when the best value is a DIY option. And let me explain what I mean by that. If you've got a team, if you are a solopreneur, but you're also working with a VA, if you have a dedicated employee who can learn the material and take the action. So the value might be in purchasing that course because you yourself don't have to learn it. You have someone else who is completely capable of learning and taking action. So it's purchasing the course. Maybe it's sending that person to the conference. It's providing that tool, empowering that employee to do the thing to move you closer, and in this case, to getting the publicity. For example, if a business has a marketing director, I'm thinking specifically of a client who has a marketing director, or you might have a social media manager or a communication specialist, making that investment for that individual is actually going to do a couple of things. Number one, it's going to empower that individual and make them think, wow, they really value me to pour in these resources so that I can learn this particular skill to help move everything forward, move the business forward. That individual can learn the information and immediately take the action. And so what do I mean by that? Well, they are learning how to write the press release. They themselves are writing the press release. They are doing the research online to find out, who am I sending this press release to? They are figuring out what would be considered dynamic viewer benefit or just viewer benefit in general. They are crafting that television pitch and they themselves are sending the pitch. All within their wheelhouse. They absolutely can do this and they can be successful. I've got a couple of examples. There is a winery in Kansas City, Missouri, and that owner happened to be at a workshop where I was demonstrating the power of the press release. And I was explaining to everyone there, these are the 7 parts of a press release. Well, first of all, why would you send a press release in the first place? That seems so 1987, but it's really not. The media is that is how they receive their news. That is something that is still very useful when it comes to television or radio or newspaper. So we're talking about why a press release. Then we're talking about, okay, well, how would I issue this press release? Like, what would I talk about? What would I put in that press release to make a radio station, a TV station, a newspaper interested in what it is that my business is doing? And then we went into the 7 components of what's included in a press release, because local media looks at press releases. There is a particular format that they are used to seeing. And my hope is to prepare you to present well. You only get one shot at a first impression. And I would hate for your press release to be your one shot and it come across a newsroom and that person go, who is this? This makes no sense. This doesn't follow our format. And they delete the email or they throw the press release away. When press releases are done right, I've actually witnessed where the press release themselves is printed verbatim in the paper, in a magazine, and it is free publicity. So this owner was a part of this workshop. She learns the importance of a press release. She takes the sample press release. She then crafts a press release on her own, thinking, I have nothing to lose. Let's just put it together and put it out there and let's see what happens. She had 2 television stations show up at her winery and do one segment, did a 5-minute segment on one of their lifestyle shows. The other one did a 1.5-minute story on their 5 o'clock news. She also had 2 newspapers and a tourism guide all come visit her business. All it cost her was a little time in putting together the press release. For her to have purchased that kind of advertising time, I don't even want to put a dollar figure on what that would have cost her. Later, she shared that it allowed her business to get in front of people that never knew the winery was there. And subsequently, there were upcoming events that winter and spring season that sold out, all because of the coverage, because they knew that her business was there. I also had another business owner who similarly put together a press release for a talk that she was doing. Actually, it was a conference, not a talk, but it was a conference for special education teachers. This conference was happening in Phoenix, Arizona. And she thought, what do I have to lose? I'll put together a press release. I'll send it to the stations in Phoenix, see what happens. And nothing happened. She didn't hear a peep from anyone. She was also then taking this same conference to Wisconsin. Again, for special education teachers, weekend event, puts together the same press release, sends it to local media, nothing. And she sent me a message and she said, this isn't, I'm not, we sure about this? And I said, we are sure about this. We are sure about this. Don't give up. Try it again. And she then put together the same conference, took it to Atlanta, and thought, all right, I'll try it again. This is her third time that she's tried. Keep in mind, she's heard nothing from anyone here. If the media is going to show up, typically they just show up. Sometimes they will respond back, but if you don't hear anything, then it wasn't really for them. She said on that third try in Atlanta, she happened to be talking to someone outside the venue and watched the Channel 11 Action News van pull up in front of the venue. And she said her friend looked at her and said, Catherine, are you okay? Because she said all the color drained from my face. I couldn't believe they were there. A reporter's jumping out of the van. A camera guy is jumping out of the van. And she said, I told my friend, go in and tell everyone the news is here. I'm going to handle it, but just smile and be ready. And she said, it worked. It took me 3 tries, but it worked. And I was on the news. She said, I took the same tactics, did it again in Rhode Island, and was invited on one of their lifestyle shows to actually do an interview and talk about the importance of this conference and what we were doing for special education teachers and that parents were welcome. And she said, all from a press release. And really all from one press release. All I had to do was change the location and the date. And I said, well, there you go. It works. And she provided a testimonial, and her words were, keep trying and be ready because it works. So I say that to say that courses themselves can be packed with extreme value. And I'll speak from personal experience if I can here. My goal is to always over provide, to provide more information or so much content that the buyer is blown away that everything they got for the perceived value. That perceived value of, wow, that I got all this for that. That's so little. That's not much money at all. And so it's value is in the eye of the beholder. And with that perceived value, that is always a goal that I try to achieve, is that I want someone walking away thinking, holy moly, I got so much out of this and didn't pay what could have this could have, in my mind, have had a price tag on. If I can help you achieve results faster than if you went down the rabbit hole on your own on how to write a press release or how to send a pitch or how to dress for that TV interview, that's what I want to do. The second way to recognize the value of an expert is simply having that expert handle it for you. There are times when that is not only the best value, but it's really the only option. Some of those experts that we might seek after would be like financial guys, or whether it's financial or tech experts. I know we've got a tech expert on the call. Speaking experts like Michael. Michael's going to teach you the how when it comes to speaking. You're paying for his knowledge, his experience, and trusting that he's going to help you miss the pitfalls and get from here to there in a shorter amount of time than if you were Googling it all on your own. Like, how many of us, we could easily chew up the day trying to figure this all out, or Don't replace the LED strip light on the front of your car and take it to the expert and pay the expert to do it for you. The same happens with media experts. That expert has the relationship with the key players in the industry. They know how to pitch. They know when it comes to pitching, not only how to do it, but when not to do it. For example, a week ago, I sent a pitch to a station on behalf of a client. And this was here locally. And then we went through a stretch of the next 4 days where we had tornadoes for the next 4 days, tornadoes and severe flooding. Those stations were doing wall-to-wall coverage, alerting people about the tornadoes that were dropping from the sky. That producer never saw my pitch. Having worked in television and knowing we're not going to be in the middle of the tornado warning and I'm going to just send an email that says, hey, what do you think about having this business on to talk about their scholarship? We could come on Thursday. So not appropriate. So not appropriate. So instead, I reached back out to that producer yesterday and said, in case my previous email got deleted, because I know this last week has been unusually busy, if there were to be an opening, this group provides scholarships for high school seniors that are athletes. Because of the tornadoes and all the damage that we've incurred, they are actually pushing the scholarship deadline back a week to give students an opportunity to apply for the scholarship, but also understanding that their worlds may be turned upside down. And she emailed right back and said, love this story. Thank you for getting it and not reaching out last week. Can they be on the show Monday? Sure can. Sure can. Okay, that client understands the value in the media expert, that I'm going to position them at the right moment, at the right time, and not be bothering news media when something way more catastrophic is happening. Now, does that mean that if you did it on your own, sent your own press releases, and then the bottom falls out, oh no, have I just missed it? No, just be strategic in when you follow back up. Anytime I'm pitching a client across the country, I'm mindful of what is happening in that town at that point, whether they are dealing with wildfires or if they've had an EF4 tornado tear apart their city. If it's springtime and we are pitching something that actually might work for the fall, well, I'm not necessarily going to pitch it in the springtime. I want the pitches to be timely. But more importantly, if I'm reaching out to friends and colleagues from television, I want it to be at the right time. Can I teach people how to do that? 100%. But again, the value in having an expert, that person already knows. Oh, we're not going to do it just yet. We're going to hold off one more week. Oh, the news cycle takes a dip right now. I'm going to be firing things at them every week because I know they need the content. Those little nuances. Now, as I said, am I perfect? No. Have my emails landed at the wrong time? They have. I mean, I'm human. It happens. But there's also an art, again, with the value of the expert, of being able to follow back up and reestablish and say, hey, you know, my email might have been caught up in a mass deletion. Just wanted to put this back on your radar. The value comes in the expert that can handle the situation. That expert making the calls, having the conversations, doing the thing so that all you have to do is be ready for when the station says, hey, can you be here Monday? It's one less thing that a business owner has to worry about, and you can actually close that tab on your brain. So going back to the car, the mechanic fixed the turn signal after a couple of days. It turns out that part actually had to come from a couple states away, and the mechanic had to get underneath the car in order to be able to fix it. So the value of having him fix it and I didn't have to worry about it was worth way more than what he charged. So with that, let's have some conversation. I'd love to answer questions. We can workshop some things. Yes, let's go. Michael, how do you want to handle this?
Yeah, I think everybody's been here before, so I think raising of the hand and you just jumping on it is great as long as you see everybody. I see Adrian's hand up. I do want to just introduce Jamie and Angel real quick to you, Michelle. Both Jamie and Angel are also part of our community here, and they typically are here on time usually. And no worries, Jamie and Angel, don't worry at all. But I just want to introduce you to who Michelle is. She's a media expert, and she helps you get onto TV and get onto radio and get into press releases, as she was talking about earlier. She also has her, and this is for everybody here in terms of what she was talking about earlier, she also has her own courses and her own DIY on how to be able to position yourself to get on TV on your own. And obviously, that's why you tell the story of, look, you could do it on your own, but we also have experts here. And so I think as we open it up to questions now, really what we're looking for is questions in terms of how can Michelle either help you, but also your curiosity, and it might be what Adrian's question is now, on to how can I help myself in order to do a press release. So Adrian, you had a question. Why don't you go ahead and ask Michelle?
Yeah.
It's for Michael and for Michelle, actually. Michael, I find this talk suspicious timing and fortuitous, perhaps, because Michael and I were having a conversation about who's going to do the editing for my fireside chat that I'm going to be conducting in Troy. And I said to Michael that it is important for me to understand every aspect of my business before I hand it off to someone else. So I was going to do it myself for the first time.
Okay.
Like you said, I went to YouTube. Oh, why not use Final Cut Pro? No, I did. That's great. No problem. No problem. However, you were talking, and there was another element that you didn't necessarily explicitly say, Michelle, to me, had to do with time.
Mm-hmm.
How, in addition to just the cost, not even the time money equation, but the time relevance equation to me. If I take too long to edit this video and break down the video according to how way Michael and I discussed how to do it, it loses its relevance.
Mm-hmm. That's
The other parties who are involved in this video might become frustrated, might not want to do it again, and I lose that momentum that they created. So, that being said, back to press releases. But the press release for me, the way what I've done is created a device that does a job a human would normally do.
okay.
So what happens is that normally people look for a human being to do a particular task or role, and that's what the mindset is. How can the press release help people get over that mindset of now I have a device to do the work and save that $150,000 plus salary? How can you convey that in a press release?
Yep.
So Michelle, what Adrian does, what he's talking about in terms of the device, is that he created a device that monitors your cyber network for cybersecurity, and it's a device that implants and it takes away, like what he was just saying, a job essentially that a business owner would have to pay for somebody to monitor your cybersecurity. This does it itself and then runs through a program. And what he's hosting is a fireside chat on April 21st, where he'll be interviewing several people in the industry, speaking, of course, about IWO, which is the device that he created, and about the environment that the cybersecurity world is in. And I think what Adrian's asking about here, his question more specifically is, how does he release a press release? How does he create a press release that talks about a device in this AI world that kind of takes away a job and paints it in a positive light? Is that about right, Adrian?
Yes, I mean I don't want to use the word Doge, but yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. So my first couple of thoughts are um, what type of magazines, industry specific, when it comes to um, cyber technology, um, IT technology, that you could send this press release to them, letting them know this is something that you've created. This is something that's coming to the market. Um, I'm also curious, the fireside chat that you're doing, what is the audience? Who's going to be a part of this chat? Who's going to be listening or potentially contributing? Who are you targeting? What's your market?
My market are what are called MSPs or managed service providers.
Okay.
These are companies that manage, for example, when the school district outsources their IT to a company, these are the companies that do that. And I've got three people who are, one's in New York City, one's in Hudson Valley, one's in Rochester, and they are all MSPs and talking about the changing environment, the role AI is playing in that, um, and a lot of questions that small growing MSPs face because they don't have the budgets to hire cybersecurity personnel.
Okay.
These people spend like quarter mil a year. So, but they still have to provide those same services. So that's, and then we're talking about how that's going to be achieved, what the struggles are, things like that.
Yeah. So I'm also wondering if there's an opportunity in addition to the tech publications, um, because we are visual, we live more in a visual society now, I think, than we ever have. Um, so I'm where I'm headed with this is in a press release and maybe getting that to a TV station in New York or around the area about what kind of impact this could have on your child's school. So, yes, we're showing that there's this new technology. Oh, and by the way, it's going to do away with the position, and it could make your children's personal information more secure at their school. I'm and I may be off here on the angle. I may be. So if I am, go ahead. It's okay to
Well,
say,
and
that's a good idea if you're
No,
wrong.
so Michelle, what I'm picking up on just for everybody here, because I think what we could apply is some of the things that you just did there to
Yeah.
everybody here. And then of course, Adrian, if you have anything else you want to share with her, you can do that now or later too. But the first thing that I picked up on is what are the industry publications?
Yes,
So for
absolutely.
everybody in the room here, like Ron, you're working in the non-for-profit space, you're working in the manufacturing space. What are the industry publications that we could start looking at, maybe top five, and put something together that really speaks to that audience? And that's the next part is who's the audience? So who is it that we want to learn about what we're doing? And knowing who that is specifically so that we could start drafting the message for them. And then the last thing that you said there when you brought up the schools, which again I think could be applied to everybody here, is what's the benefit and who are we benefiting? So we go back to target audience. It's like who are we benefiting and what is the benefit? And I think what you tugged on there, Michelle, is the heartstring. And that wins everything is when we tug on the heartstring. So we go to the schools, we go to the children, and we go to safety, and we go to the heartstring there. And I think in terms of like what you were saying there about, and by the way, we're doing away with a job, but like Adrian said, it's a job that many small businesses can't afford to hire for. And so we're really not doing away with a job. We're actually giving you a device that's securing your network to where you don't have to shell out $150,000 that you don't have.
Yeah.
Adrian, did you still?
perfect. I mean, really, just kind of bottle Michael up and just take him everywhere I go would be fantastic. But
Um, Jamie, I know, is also starting something new. Jamie, you're starting a training business and or have started already, and Angel is also starting something new. So we have Rocio, Jamie, and Angel all starting something new. I'm curious from the three of you if any one of you want to maybe ask a question here in terms of like timing of this whole thing And also having that, what I'm curious on for myself too, which I think the three of you are, and everybody in the room, quite honestly, is the timing and also being able to have the processes and structure in place to be able to receive the influx of leads and influx of people that might come through your doors after these press releases. So I don't know if Rocio, Jamie, or Angel or Rocky want to bring anything up to that point.
I have a question about how long in advance is far enough that, and I'm going to make a guesstimate. I believe for my events, I've noticed a trend, and when I'm announcing it to people, it's within a week and a half before the event. But any earlier than that doesn't seem to register with people. And I'm wondering if you agree with that timeline.
I do. I typically will send a press release about 2 weeks before. And then there's also something in the industry known as a media alert. And I will send a media alert maybe 2 or 3 days before the event. Oftentimes we would get a press release into the newsroom. Oh, okay, this is happening June 19th. It's June 1st. Let me just put it in the folder for the 19th and I'll come back and revisit it on the 19th. Maybe that happens, maybe it doesn't. I always like to then on maybe June 17th, hey, just a reminder, this is happening on the 19th, kind of thing. So the fact that you do it a week and a half in advance, I think is perfect timing.
Awesome. When it comes to news, like getting yourself into TV segments, um, what is a differentiator they're looking for to get you on TV? Because I know that it's rather easy to get onto podcasts and things like that, but getting yourself onto television, it seems like a different animal.
A lot of it comes down to relationships. Also, the other half of it, and probably the larger portion, is what's in it for the viewer. What's the viewer benefit? How, like I did with Adrian, how could we take a school situation and translate that down to a parent? This is why a parent should care. So how can you educate the audience? What can you demonstrate to the audience? What's a way to provide value to the audience in what it is that you are doing? As a former television producer, when I would get pitched, if someone was sending me an email that said, hey, I've got this new book and I want to come talk about my book and how it helped me overcome my fear of going outside on a sunny day. Okay, I don't really care about you. But if your email pitch to me would have said, hi, I'm a new author. I would love to be able to share with your viewers how they can overcome being terrified of stepping outside on a bright sunny day. There's a new book that could help them. I'd love to be able to share a few tips with them. Here's my contact information below. Okay, which one do you think is going to get my attention? So when pitching to media, what's in it for them? What's in it for their viewers?
And is there a place to find out? I mean, I know that general news, like for example, our local media, I think it's News 12. So is there a place for us to research what type of viewership they're getting? Is it like an age demographic or no? There's no way of knowing really.
That information generally, because I've looked online and it's just not there. Having been in the business, there are different time slots and different trends of different demos that might be watching. One piece of advice I might say is if you're interested in getting on a mid-morning show, like a 9 o'clock show or a 2 in the afternoon type show, think in your mind, who's home at 9 in the morning? Who's home at 11:30? Who's home at 2 o'clock? And how might this appeal to them?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
You talked about the 7 parts of a press release. I was curious on what those are.
Yes. So, let me see if I can go off memory. It's your logo at the top. It is the way that the top couple of lines are formatted. It's the date line, date, it's the body, it's the three hashtags at the bottom, and it's your boilerplate at the end. Typically, press releases are about a page, maybe a page and a half. When I was a reporter, if I got a press release that was 2 pages, I'm already mad at you because I'm not going to read 2 pages. So I also tell the women in the room will understand this. Think of it as a high level birth announcement, but you typically are answering the who, what, when, where, why, and how. And there you would want to include like a quote in the press release. It's a bit of a tease. It's enough information for the person to receive it that could have a good overall understanding of what you're doing, yet you've also piqued their curiosity for them to want to cover it or reach out and ask you for more information about it.
So when thinking about a press release, I think for everybody in the room, our minds are going to events and something that's coming up. I'm also looking around the room, and I know that a lot of us are in the service industry and sell different types of things. And in terms of the introductions here, what would be what would be an example of a press release that, say, a Rocky could do, where he does video production for companies, he's very knowledgeable in that space, or Jamie, who does personal training and he's very knowledgeable in that space, or Rocio, who does translating and works in the tourism space, where it's not necessarily event focused, but they have a lot of knowledge.
Yep.
Kind of.
So I would think that maybe from a production standpoint, video production, Rocky, you might consider a press release when there is, um, like when Apple announces their new lines coming up for the new year. Someone who just loves Apple products but doesn't really know what all they do. Like, I would love to know, what does this mean? How is this going to make my life easier? Um, from a tourism standpoint, I think you said, is it Rosario who's in?
Rocio.
I'm sorry. In tourism, what are you doing around springtime? What are you doing early summer? Is there anything in my region? We are not far from both the Kentucky Derby and Cinco de Mayo, big, big events in my region. So is there something regionally that would be timely where tourism is concerned? Are you headed into your biggest tourism season? What kind of economic impact are you expecting this tourism season to have on your region? And then I think you said, Jamie, your gym, your physical fitness,
Personal training,
sorry. And so who is your ideal? Who do you work with?
My ideal client is like middle-aged, active, but currently experiencing pain. And their doctor's like, yeah, there's nothing wrong with you, but they still go to work out and they exercise and they have pain and they don't know how to proceed forward. So actually listening to you talk, it kind of made me think of like some of the posts that I would normally consider doing on like Instagram or YouTube about certain issues is totally, I mean, everyone, like, I kind of feel like back pain is universal. So if you got a piece in a novel, different way of approaching back pain, I can imagine that being interesting.
Yep.
Press release there.
It could be. And that also in each of these cases, that can position you as the thought leader. That can position you as the expert. And especially if there is new advancements that might take place that you're aware of. When something hits the news, you absolutely could turn around and reach out to a station and say, I understand this bit of information just came out, and I'd be happy to come share with your viewers what this means to them, how this is going to impact them. Rocky, going back to tech, in video production, I know that, well, technology is constantly changing, and how do we stay up? And I may be drifting away from your area of expertise, but if I had someone who could come on my show that could explain to baby boomers, you don't need your 14-year-old nephew or your 14-year-old grandson. You can do this on your own. Let me show you how. Again, that may not work if you're totally video production, that may not translate. But I'm trying to think of some ways, some other ways that, hey, how could we get you an article? How could we get you on TV? And one one final thought that I'll leave you with press releases is on any of your websites, you can put those press releases under a newsroom tab and you can do some SEO on them, and then those start showing up on Google. And so maybe you write a press release that never actually gets sent to the press, but it gets put on your newsroom tab and you've packed it full of keywords and it helps with your ranking. That's another reason for a press release.
Two more that come to mind for me for Adrian and Ron, who didn't get hit here, is Adrian. In the insurance world, many big commercial policies typically renew on the 1st of January. And so what I'm thinking for you with the cyber with what you offer in terms of cyber as part of insurance requirements, to have this kind of like cyber firewalls and all these different things set up when they do their cyber insurance, could be a press release probably in December around that time about the importance of cybersecurity and all of the things that IWO offers. And then Ron, I know that you go to a big trade show at the Jacob Javits Center. And what I'm thinking for you is, when we're talking about manufacturing, what you and your non-for-profit does in terms of being able to offer jobs to people in our local community who have disabilities, but also take the load off of these manufacturing companies or these companies that have manufacturing needs, could be a press release maybe a couple weeks prior to going to Jacob Javits, to where, one, it gets it out there of like, I'll be there, but also I think to Michelle's point there of where you have it on your website and it's something that you could email to some of these people that you're going to visit, because I know you put together your list of the people you're going to visit there, and you could email, hey, check out this press release about what we offer here. I think would also be helpful to you guys.
And I like what you said with Adrian and the security at the beginning of the year. This is something, this is insider information. The 2 times of year where there's a dip in the news cycle is January, February, and June, July, and August. We come out of the holidays and there's very little to cover. Yet we still have time and content that we have to fill. So oftentimes there might be an opportunity to have something featured in January that in any other part of the year might not get featured, yet that allows you to begin nurturing those relationships with that television station or media person, so that by the time something else rolls around, they're like, oh, yeah, it's Adrian. Yeah, sure. What do you need? Come on. The same thing happens June, July, August. We've just come out of school and we're headed into the summer. It's before school starts in the fall. So that kind of weirdness in the summertime, not a lot is happening. So again, that's another really good time to kind of dip your toe in, so to speak, about sending press releases and just seeing if something works.
Thank you, Michelle. If anybody else has any other questions, please, Michelle, while I just kind of make my final announcements here and put all of your contact info in the chat. Before we do that, Katie will kill me if I don't do a screenshot real quick of all of us. So everybody, in about 2 seconds, we're all going to do our, as Angel called it, our Toastmasters cult wave. So everybody just smile and wave. And here we go. 3, 2, 1. Awesome. Thank you. So I'm going to just give everybody some updates real quick. I want to make sure that we end at 12 o'clock. I know I got 2-minute clock running. Michelle's going to put all of her contact info in the group chat. Also put your contact info in there if you would like to. And then make sure that before I close this, which it'll be open even after 12 o'clock, you just hit the 3 little dots on there, save the chat so you get everybody's contact information. I want to thank you all, of course, for being here, for being part of the Take Action community. Everybody in this room right now is a regular, so it's really, really cool to have all of you. LA, we welcome you to our next Take Action event, which will be on May 14th at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time via Zoom, just like all of you have done. Just go to Eventbrite, get your tickets, and the Zoom link will be sent to you. I don't have a speaker quite yet, but I'll line somebody up who's really, really great for all of us. I also just want to remind everybody to visit joinpedalforpurpose.com. If you haven't yet, learn about this inspiring ride that we're doing in order to raise money for the children in Haiti's medical needs and their educational needs. Consider donating, consider sponsoring, but more importantly, please consider sharing it with your communities in order to help raise awareness for the need in Haiti. I want to pass this on to Michelle and give her the final word here and thank her so much for coming on today and sharing her knowledge in media for all of us.
Thank you so much for allowing me to kind of share with you some of the ins and the outs. And if I can be of service, my contact information is already in the chat. And so I'd love to have a conversation. I do have a course, if it makes sense, where I teach all of what I discussed in the course. And then I also take one-on-one clients. So please reach out, and I hope you have a great day.
Awesome, Michelle. It is 12 o'clock, but before we do this, Michelle, you showed this to me, and I feel like the Take Action community deserves to see this. You need to see her wall. Show them the wall, Michelle. Show them the wall.
Okay, let me take my light. Hold on, let me take this light off.
This is so cool, everybody. You're gonna love this. As somebody preparing for a 100-mile ride, she showed me this wall, and I was like, all right, I could do it. Look at that wall. Yeah. Look at Rocio's face. It lit up. Rocio, her eyeballs just took over the screen. Isn't that awesome? That's so cool.
I'm a runner, so those are all the different medals. Yeah.
It's so cool. Well, thank you again, Michelle, for coming on. I will stay on, and Michelle's going to stay on too with me for a little bit longer. So if any of you want to stay on, you're welcome to. Rocky, I know you have Toastmasters. I know a couple of you are running out, but if you have any other questions that you'd like to ask Michelle, the floor is yours now.
Thank you both, guys. That was great.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone. Is LA your friend?
I'm not sure.
Oh,
well, I guess not.
Okay. And let me stop recording.